Some coaches, like Mr. Olson, have past experiences that really help them understand what the modern day high school athlete goes through.
So in high school, I played basketball, football, and golf. Starting my junior year of high school, I decided to not play football. The decision was a tough one for me. I made it mostly because I wanted to concentrate on getting in better shape for basketball, and I didn't feel like football was going to do that for me. So I felt like I would get more out of working out on my own and lifting and practicing. The problem with that is, although my intentions were, I thought good, it was not a great idea for me. I shouldn't say immediately, I regretted once I was out on Friday nights watching the football team and not being a part of the team. And there are aspects of football practice that I didn't enjoy, but I know that the positives far outweighed the negatives, and I going through that junior year was hard for me. And then my senior year, my decision was already made because of my junior year. I didn't feel like I could go back and join after taking a year off and how far behind I had gotten. I do regret it. I know that my intentions were not to just push it aside, but I regret not being able to be part of the team and out on the field on Friday nights. Coaching in the summer and being an athlete in the summer is kind of an interesting dilemma at times. There are a lot of different sports pulling kids in different directions. One sport that I know with basketball, I coach basketball, and so I'm heavily involved with basketball camps over the summer, summer leagues and tournaments. And one thing that we try to do as a basketball program is to coordinate with some of the other head coaches about events going on. So for example, the most common one is baseball. And what we try to have happen is that students who are multi-sport athletes, that they go to their competition first and work on being a competitor. Whether that's basketball or baseball, it doesn't matter. And I think it's really important for head coaches to have that open communication.
One coach and human performance teacher at the high school is very involved in creating programs that encourage multi sport training and development. This person just happens to be everyone's favorite Canadian, Mr. Jeff Corkish.
We're living in a world right now where a lot of kids are specializing in one sport, and it's even rare to see kids play two sometimes. I grew up in a time when it was very common. Coaches had a little bit more forgiveness for kids. I grew up and we played 5 sports in high school. A lot of times I'd be playing hockey and then also be playing in our badminton season. Now in Canada we had different sports of course, but we had badminton as a high school sport and hockey was a community sport, and we were allowed to, if we had to miss practice to go play in a game for a different sport, it was totally acceptable. Baseball season, all the baseball players were also track athletes. So our baseball coaches would communicate with the track coaches, and we would play baseball around track and vice versa. So 5 sports is pretty common for us, and if at the last minute a coach needed a player to jump into a game and he wasn't even part of that team, it was all okay. Here at Hastings High School, we developed a program probably about 10 years ago. We changed our HP program, basically the PE program, physical education program. We called it human performance. And over the years, we have continually just added things, subtracted things. We're always trying to develop the kids in a better way, making sure that they understand that specialization in training isn't needed at this age. They just need to lift and train and basically improve their fitness level as an athlete. So when people always ask us, well, do you train them like hockey players? Like, no, we train them like athletes. And I think even at the college level, you talk to the strength and conditioning coaches there, you can specialize a little bit for different sports, but a lot of it's the same. You're trying to make them great athletes. And if you can do that, you win. I really believe when we were kids and we played, 90% of the time we played was without organization, without parents, without rules, without referees. It was all creative, fun play. 10% of that was done with referees and coaches and whatnot. Today, I think it's almost reversed. I think kids play with a coach and a parent and a referee 90% of the time, and 10% is played on their own with no rules. And if you ask a kid what they want to do, well, it's always going to be without parents, without organization, without referees. I know there's a balance to it all, but I think we've gone so far to the other side that the kids are losing love for sport. And because of it, you see kids who are, not healthy, not enjoying sport, not confident, not developing self-esteem, not learning how to problem solve. And those things are done within sport. So sometimes the best development is done just out of kids' creativity and fun. I think that organized sports is wonderful. I don't ever want to take it away from it because I do see a whole lot of value in organized sports. I just don't think the balance is where it's supposed to be right now. And I see that because of our participation numbers. If you look at the amount of kids that we have in communities, the amount of kids who start playing youth sports, and then the amount of kids who play sports in high school, it's disturbing. It's very disturbing. It's gotten so bad that in middle school and elementary school, you see kids that don't play sports at all. And there's just, we worry too much about scholarships, which most people will never even have a chance at. We worry too much about winning, which kids, obviously through a ton of research, if you read the research, kids don't care if they win. It's way down the list when you do find out how much they want to win. It's not one of the most important things. It's way down the list. They care about having fun, being with their friends, making memories, laughing, joking, all the memories. Sometimes kids need to remind parents that that's what sports are about. Parents need to, I think, just simply wake up right now because we're missing the boat. For quite a few years, we've been designing hockey programs since I was the high school hockey coach and working with a bunch of other people to develop our program for the summer. And over the last few years, we've been going back to what we believed in, which is multi-sport athletes, and making sure that we were in charge of kind of instilling some of those concepts into the program. So not only when we do our hockey program, we also have multi-sport involved in that. So our kids come in and they skate for an hour at our hockey camp, but at the same time, we also introduce them to a fitness instructor who shows them all kinds of things of balance and core strength and training and things like that. We also have some dryland stuff, but the most important thing, which the kids all love and they come back for all the time, is the multi-sport part of the camp where they get a chance to work with different instructors on learning how to play tennis. They play team handball, they play wiffle ball, they play kickball. The kids get to make up their own games. They still get to go back and they play capture the flag. So those are the games that the kids have shown us that they absolutely love. When we ask the kids what they love most about hockey camp, very rarely does a kid ever say the hockey part. It's always the being outside where there's a lot less rules, there's a lot less instruction, and it's a lot more fun free time with their buddies. And that's the part that they love the most. And through doing that in camp, I really turned and looked at that and said that we need to start thinking about doing multi-sport in all areas of our sports. Why not have a hockey season or a baseball season or a basketball season filled with introduction to other sports at the same time? Play basketball 3 times and then take a day off to do something else. Go skiing, go downhill skiing or alpine or Nordic or cross country or any of those types of different things. Try something different.
From a professional standpoint, I feel like specialization is kind of the A topic of my career the last 15 years as a head coach in high school, club, and an assistant coach in college sports, as well as having graduate level degrees in sport administration. I've taken a hard look at the research, and then certainly in my day-to-day job now as an athletic director, the trend in the last 15 to 20 years in particular has been away from multi-sport athletes in general and towards earlier and earlier specialization, which is scary, in a word. Why would we want to limit a young person's opportunities to try different things, especially at the age of 8, 10, 12, 14, when, they're just trying to learn who they are and kind of where they fit in the world and what they're passionate and excited about. Why would we want to force feed that decision down into a stage when, among other things, especially when you take a look at competitive athletics, we can't predict anything, genetically or physically or emotionally about where a student athlete will be at 15 based on what we see them doing at 8. It's impossible. If we could, the Boston Red Sox and Cleveland Cavaliers would be down investing into our 9 and 10-year-olds, but that's a fool's errand. You can't predict anything. So I do think that it's disappointing that parents and or coaches at those younger levels will put that kind of pressure on. I think you have to back up and ask why, right? Why are people choosing less? This is an adult-driven problem, there's no doubt. And we have a youth sports industry that is a multi-billion-dollar industry today, on the one hand. We have an element where, sports has such a stronghold in our culture, and in a lot of ways that's a very positive thing, but it's not without its challenges and concerns. And there's kind of this pursuit, whether it be of an athletic scholarship, for example, or notoriety and kind of fame that comes with sports that get in the way of the real benefits of participating. I think there are a lot of concerns, and not to mention the fact that families are investing an obnoxious amount of finances, time, right? And then emotion into this one basket. And what if at a certain point that kid just doesn't want to play that sport anymore because it's not fun? Or what if they get hurt and they can't play it again? And you kind of have that all my eggs are in one basket component at younger and younger ages. It's too bad. So if you back up 30 years ago and you look at the youth that were seen for sports-related injuries, about 80% of those were like more like of the catastrophic variety, like a broken leg, or something that was that radical, like they literally wiped out on a ski hill, and it was kind of a, that deal. And about 20% were overuse, kind of a joint injury, in the shoulder or the elbow. Now it's the exact opposite. About 20% are of that kind of more catastrophic variety, and 80% are overuse. Kids' elbows, needing Tommy John surgery when they're 16, right? Or we have hips and knees of athletes that are worn down due to too much repetition and too much focusing on one thing. So I've never seen an issue to where all of the research, whether you're looking at sports medicine professionals, post-secondary collegiate institutions, athletic directors, coaches, things like that, everything tells us that specialization at younger ages is a bad thing. Everything. Yet all of our choices are over here. It's fascinating. It's really kind of a radical social experiment that I hope we can get our heads around. So what do we do about it? I think you have a few things. One is education. We need to make sure that parents of 3 to 5 year olds have the kind of education that we kind of hope that our high school parents have. By the time a kid's in 10th, 11th grade, it's too late to educate someone on the benefits because they've already made all their choices. The second thing is we need to rally around a lot of the strong pillars that we've had, for example, in this community of Hastings that has forever supported multi-sport athletes. Recognize that those students typically are more well-balanced emotionally, they have stronger connections to multiple peers and adults, they perform better academically, they have better attendance, all those type of things by being a little bit more well-rounded. We need to celebrate those kids and those programs and try to find additional ways to get more kids engaged. What I would tell a parent or a student athlete is this: do not specialize before you're 14, 15 years old at the earliest. Take as many opportunities as possible to try different things, kind of from season to season or year to year, while at the same time making sure that you build in literally an off season where you're not on a team and you're not doing any organized training. I mean, most people's heads will spin right now just suggesting that because their kids are they're going all the time. But kind of getting off that hamster wheel of organized sport for a little bit to let the kids skateboard or go to the beach, right? Or climb on a jungle gym where it's just them doing it for fun with their friends and it's not an organized soccer training for 60 minutes where it's all about skills and drills. So sample, try different things, get educated about specialization, encourage your kid to stay in multiple things until at least 15, and that's kind of where I would start with it.
Overall, we've realized that there's not necessarily a right or wrong answer, but multi-sport participation seems to have much more upside and benefits associated with it than specialization. To us, specialization comes with too high of risk and not nearly enough reward. From all of us here at Student Sports Directors Productions, thank you for watching.